Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, joined by Miguel Porter, and we may or may not have a surprise guest coming on. We'll see. But Miguel, 26.2 is almost in the rearview mirror, and we have a lot going on because it's also daylight savings time. We're springing forward, and hopefully that doesn't mess anybody up with. I guess it's good that it's today and not Monday. Can you imagine a daylight springing forward on a Monday and then that deadline's at 8 p.m. and you're like, wait a minute, I haven't reset my clocks yet. Because I got up this morning and it said like 9, but it was really 10.
I think this has been a problem with submissions before, just because not every country and whatever. So if they're used to doing it even their time, whenever, for like the last second, they might check back and it's already an hour forward where we are.
So okay. I didn't realize that.
There have been issues like that before. Like the people who wait until the last second to like enter their scores, just because of that time change. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize that this is a frequent issue, especially with places that don't observe daylight savings time. So yeah, that will be. I wonder if they account for that at all, or if it's just like, hey, you should know, because that's how CrossFit kind of operates sometimes. It's like, hey, everything's out there. This is like what, the 16th year or whatever of the Open. Like, you should know by now, or people around you should know to tell you, We'll see. And I was checking the leaderboard just to kind of see where the times are at right now. And there's a lot of big names missing. Everybody's holding back on this workout, at least for the men. Like Lucy Campbell is still the top score with 650 for the women, and there's a guy named Peter Ellis who has a 622 on the men. But then the recognizable names for the men are Moritz Feitzberg, I think that's his name, or Feitzbig, and Harry Lightfoot. But like everybody else, not there. Dallin Pepper, Jason Hopper, like so they must be waiting, right?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know
like where they at
again. Like really have to, because I know like those guys. I think they do it so that they're only allowed to do it once. I think in their little like club of the boys or whatever.
Oh, there's a rule
because they do like punishments. I think they do punishments based off your score, like who gets the worst score out of them. But yeah, I don't know. I think with the whole 25% thing, there's no real reason for you to, if you're an elite person, unless you think that you're going to win the workout overall, to redo it.
Yeah. Well, if it's those guys, then maybe they're one, I would assume it's very possible they haven't done it yet, maybe. Or they're like, all right, if I have my one and done, I'm just going to like do some testers, recover over the weekend, do my normal training, and then go hard on Monday or Sunday. So maybe they haven't done it yet, or they know that someone in their little group hasn't done it yet. So they're not going to post their scores until the other guy does it. If they have these like little internal, competitions.
Yeah.
But still there's a ton of names missing.
Did it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, for an elite athlete, the workout starts at the ring muscle ups. So there could just be some good enough gymnasts that we never heard of that are just taking up those top spots.
Yeah, maybe I didn't scroll far enough down the leaderboard to find all these guys, and there's a bunch of gymnasts that like I've never heard of Peter Ellis. I don't know who that is. I think he was out of Australia. So, And what? I mean, there are some of the elite people must want to win the Open a little bit. I mean, because there's prize money, right? So it's not an entirely, just okay. I know I'm going to the next stage anyways. There's still money on the line. I imagine at least Colton Mertens. He's probably maybe the one guy that wants to win the Open or is going to push hard to do it.
Yeah.
How many times do you think he's done this workout already? At least twice, I think.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't redo it, but yeah,
Well,
I guess
yeah,
that's just me. But
yeah, I
yeah,
definitely would, and I don't know how his muscle ups are. Like I know he crushes a lot of other things, but I don't know if I've ever seen him do muscle ups or have heard in the realm of muscle up discussion that his name is going to be popping up. So I don't know
yeah,
if this is a good workout for him or not. Like he'll clearly crush the lunges and everything else like he's a leg machine. So I don't think that's going to be anything that worries him. And then pull ups, and chest bar pull ups, those are fine for him. So really, it's just going to be like how good of muscle ups, like you said, can he do? And I don't know his track record with that.
yeah.
Hmm. Well, we'll see.
Hmm.
We're gonna find out pretty quickly here. The workout: 80 foot of lunging with a dumbbell overhead, 20 alternating dumbbell snatches, and then we alternate round to round, either chin over the bar, chest to bar pull ups, and ring muscle ups. I liked it. I thought the announcement was great. I like how the if you watch the announcement, the crowd is like right there. They're like everybody get as close as possible, to the demo guy.
Yeah, that was very close. I was like, what if he drops that dumbbell right now? Yeah,
I think if you're that guy, you are doing everything in your power to not drop that dumbbell. Like if your
yeah,
shoulder's going one way, I think you're just holding on to it. You're like, all right, they're gonna watch it tear on live TV, but I'm not gonna drop this dumbbell and crush Dave Castro's foot or someone else's foot. But
yeah,
I thought it was a great announcement, and I was fooled. Like when they kept going back, he's like pull-ups. Then they came back, it's the same thing, and then chest bar pull-ups. Then they went back, and I'm like, oh, all right, bar muscle ups. Like, and then he busted out the rings, and I was like, oh man, it's gonna be ring muscle ups. And that got a lot of people. Like, I mean, not just being tricked during the open announcement, but also in like everyone's hopes, I think, were high. If you're a bar muscle up person, and then as soon as the rings got put out, you're like, oh no, that's
yeah.
kind of a hole in my game because also the ring muscle ups haven't been in the open for a little bit. Were you one of those people who you're like, oh, all right, bar muscle ups, and then when the rings came out, you're like, darn it.
Not necessarily. I mean, my bar muscle ups are, of course, way better than my ring muscle ups, but I
Yeah,
know that difference for me is much wider for other people.
yeah.
So, if anything, ring muscle ups helped me more because there are more people that I know that can't get ring muscle ups, but maybe have a couple bar muscle ups.
Yeah, you're going to at least get some ring muscle ups. And you said yesterday that had it been bar muscle ups, you think you could finish it. Do you think on your performance yesterday, if at the same timing you get to the pull up bar versus the rings for bar muscle ups, you're finishing? You're definitely getting deeper, but like, are you going to finish that workout with how you did yesterday?
Um, I can't say for sure. So, like, I got 5 ring muscle ups. I think I get at least 15 bar muscle ups.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, again, my tiebreak score is I was done with those snatches at like 13 something. And I don't even think I hopped onto the rings until like a little bit before 14.
So you had a minute.
Yeah. So, I mean, I
Okay.
think if it's bar muscle ups, I think I dropped the dumbbell off the last snatch, and I know that I can do 3 at least. I could only do 2s on the rings, 2, and then I failed the second 2 on my last set. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And was that your game plan going in? You're like, all right, I'm going to hit 2 on the rings the first time I get there, or was that just by feel? You got the first one, and you're like, okay, we can go for one more, and then I need to hop off.
no, it wasn't necessarily. I wasn't going for 2s. I was going for however many I could get. I figured that it would only be 2. I just didn't want to do singles.
Takes so much
So
time,
like
and
the
those
first
rings
one
are
that
going
I
to be
did, I
swinging.
was like, Yeah, the first one that I did, I was like, this doesn't feel great, but I can probably get another one. And it wasn't a great one, but it was like, I got it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if it's the bar muscle ups, because I mean, you can kind of, again, you can reset at the top and kind of catch your bearings before you decide to go into the next one. Whereas with the rings, when you get up there, you're like, all right, I'm already falling, so decision has to be made now.
Yeah. And the barbell, or the pull-up bar is going to stay right where it's at. You come off the rings, or you come off the rings. I saw a lot of sloppy dismounts, which, of course, all right, it's in the heat of the workout. Everyone's exhausted, but those rings were swinging all over the place, and people's judges were trying to stabilize them, or you'd have to jump up and stop them, then go up, which that's time and energy. That pull-up bar is not going to move though on the bar muscle up, so you can just take a step back, take a step forward, and then you're jumping into the next kip swing. Yeah, it'd be cool to do the bar muscle up variation of that workout sometime, just to kind of see and test it out. I do think it was a great, as far as like open twist, great twist, like one that could be a possibility, but just with the way the workout was going, and Dave Castro's good at leading a crowd like that, whether it's in person or online, and Busting Out the Rings was a pretty good and cool twist. It didn't have to be anything else fancier than that, and I think it kind of it's great in a sense of the Open as a test, and we're doing this annual assessment of our fitness. How many times during the year do ring muscle ups pop up in a workout and people are like, well, I'm going to do bar muscle ups today, almost treating them like they're the same and not getting that ring time, and maybe not wanting to do the low ring work with the rest of class of the people who don't have bar muscle ups. So if you're that person and you're like, all right, coach is doing that with all of them, and I'm just going to kind of, futz around and do a couple kip swings and get my grips ready. It's like that intermediate, type of athlete that doesn't always do what they should be doing. This open workout was probably a kick in the teeth at that point. And it's like, hey, you reap what you sow all year. And I'm glad that we're back to that in the Open, because past Opens, it didn't really feel like that. It was the last couple Opens kind of feel like just throw these 3 workouts out that could pop up on any day, and there's nothing too special about them. And this workout, along with last week's, they both feel a little special. They both feel really thought out. They both feel like great test. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this workout exposes a lot of things for people. Yeah, I mean, for an elite level, it is, or like that higher level, it is the whole ring muscle up part. But I think for a lot of people, it's really the lunging and just positioning.
The lunges could be tough.
Based on what I've seen overall, especially on the men's side of things, it's like the lunging is really where the issues lie, whether it's like shoulder injuries or mobility issues with honestly just unweighted lunging, and then now you have to put something overhead, and the lockout there or lack thereof, and that extension within yourself and all of that. I saw that as like a really big thing across a lot of people. Like even before we did it, like other videos of like intermediate-ish level people, and seeing like, yeah, those overhead lunges aren't anything to scoff at.
No. And if you're a bigger person, maybe that helps you out. We are a small gym, I don't know what our average height is, but we have a lot of low pull-up bars, and at times not enough of them. And a lot of the people that are using those pull-up bars, the dumbbell weight is a big percentage of their body weight. And throw on top of that, everyone is almost everybody's masters, so it's like so with that overhead flexibility, that's gonna be tough, versus the gymnastics might be a little bit easier because the smaller gym, is typically better at that. So it's interesting to look at like just the demographic of our gym and how people are affected with that. But the lunge weight was definitely tough a tough weight for the RX men, tough weight for the scaled men and Masters RX with 35 pounds. That was still a hefty weight. I was wondering about this earlier today. The 20 pounds and then RX women are 35 pounds. So 20 pounds for scaled women, that seems like the one thing that isn't like the others almost. So yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that could be a 25 or if maybe 20 is a more common dumbbell weight. That was the one thing that kind of seemed like the easiest thing out of all of them. If you look at all the age groups and all of the everything, it almost seemed a little too light. Did you look at that at all? Did you look to see what each division was kind of doing?
Yeah, and I think it's that. Yeah, I would say that was the least thought out, and I feel like that is they're consistently at that of like women scaled. Sometimes seems like the least thought out.
Yeah,
division.
I feel like that group could be challenged
like,
more.
Yeah, like men scaled, it's always just like, all right, do the women RX weight. That's typically what it is, or like something in relation to that. And then women's, because then they go, all right, well, because then they have the men's scaled weight, and they go, all right, that's 15 pounds lighter than the men's RX weight. So let's just minus 15 pounds from the women's RX weight, which once you get to that smaller number to start off with, that just subtracting a number isn't necessarily going to work the same.
Yeah, and it's like, so you're a scaled woman and you got this 20-pound dumbbell and you're just cruising with it, like in a way that the others kind of aren't in the middle. You may be looking like you're cruising more like the RX upper end people, right? Like, so your performance is matching the elite at that point. But then you get to the gymnastics scaling and you're starting off with chin over the bar pull-ups. All right, cool. We're scaled. Then it jumps to pull-ups and then chest to bar pull-ups. And it's like, okay, like the gymnastics difficulty just skyrockets through. So it's like, are we just saying this is a dumbbell workout for you, and we're going to set it up so you just sprint all the way through and get your first pull-up, and we're assuming you're going to get one or a handful? Like, is that what we're setting up the workout for you to be at that point? You're not like because you're not intended to finish it. You're not going to finish it versus someone who has like a couple muscle ups. They can get there and get. It's just not the same pathway, it seems. Their cutoff is a little bit earlier, whereas if you have issues with certain type of gymnastics, usually at least on the men's side, your cutoff would then be the from what I've seen, a lot of people either get stuck on the chest to bar pull-ups, meaning like they're getting them, but with their skill of regular chin over bar pull-ups, they just take a longer time to get there. So maybe they don't get through all the chest bars. But then you're clear, like, all right, I don't have muscle ups is at the very end. Whereas for scaled women, it's like it's harder for them to get that first pull-up. So now you're putting that in the second section of their scale division, and then they're kind of stuck earlier in the workout. Yeah, and that's what we saw yesterday. So like we had some men who got pretty deep in it, and then if they're going RX, they get to the chest bar pull-ups and they're fighting for their life to finish all the chest to bar pull-ups in the remaining time. Maybe they got there 8 minutes in, 9 minutes in, right? So they're going to spend 6 minutes really trying to get these 20. And then they're going to get back to that final stretch of lunging and overhead squats, of snatches. And maybe that finishes out the workout. But we had some scaled women who are in the open buzz through the first, 2 rounds of lunging and snatches and jumping pull-ups, and then have like 9 minutes, eight minutes of just like, let's try to get pull-ups. And I just think it'd be a better workout for them. And it's still a better test too, if they would have done like what they did last year, which is chin over the bar jumping pull-ups, chest to bar jumping pull-ups, regular pull-ups. Like that to me seems like the definitive scaled version. If you want them to have, because they can still have their moment of trying to get pull-ups, and it wouldn't, if you think you're going to get chest bar pull-ups, we'll do it RX. And then it's still the same. So yeah, I don't know if they're afterthoughts. I don't know how much time, like when they're at the table or whatever, they're like, all right, let's talk about scaled. Where do we want them to go? I don't know how much goes into that, because it is inconsistent from last year to this year. Because last year we did do that with jumping pull-up, jumping chest bar pull-up, chin over the bar pull-up. And I thought that was pretty perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. So a lot of great performances at the gym. Speaking of the pull-ups and the scaled women, Maria did 5 pull-ups. Nyla did 4 pull-ups, and it was Nyla's first time getting chin over the bar for that. And then Nicole, she did her first chest to bar pull-up. So congrats to them. Pretty awesome. This is the beautiful part of the Open. There are spots set up for you to succeed and to try these things. And when they got there, so not Nyla and Maria were the team that were getting to the pull-ups with crazy amount of time left, because the 20-pound dumbbell is just not enough for them. They're strong.
Yeah.
And what I told them at that point is like, hey, let's work on the pull-ups. You have 2 options. It's like I told the whole class. If you want now, call the Open done, proceed with scaling that isn't in the Open, finish it, get a good workout for the day. Or if you want to try to get some pull-up attempts, you can either, this is your time now, you're going to be working on pull-ups. I'd recommend, let's look at it at a timer, hit a pull-up or pull-up attempt, wait 30, 40 seconds, a minute, then do the next one. Like there should be a rhyme and a reason to your attempts now, because otherwise if you're like, you do your pull-up, then you try to get right back up there. Well, we're not a right back up there person yet. We don't have that strength and capacity. You should have, like, treat this as an EMOM or some kind of time set now where you can just get through this and accumulate, but not burn yourself out or rip or anything like that. And if at any point, I told them this too, you get a couple pull-ups and you're like, well, that was good, then continue on. Go back to the lunges. Like, just finish, do what you can until the time runs out. And just call your Open at that point. And that's what they did. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
With Nicole, I got there as she was working on the chest bar pull-ups. This is she was just trying to be too vertical on her chest bar pull-up, and so she's going to have to pull down at least 4 inches to try to get there. And it's like we gotta do more of a swing where we're pushing back, but also trying to get your hip a little higher to get your body a little more horizontal. And then that pull is a row in versus a vertical pull in. And she was able to do it that way. Long term, is that how we want the most virtuous chest to bar pull up? No, we want it to be more like you and Mike, where you guys are more vertical, and that's how we'd want it to be. We'd still want to be hollowed out and pulling here versus that big arch in the back.
Yep.
But in the heat of the Open, like, let's have our Open moment. Let's just close the distance on the range of motion.
Yeah.
It worked out pretty well. It was pretty funny. Nicole was telling me, she's like, I don't want to bash my chest too hard on the pull-up bar and like have it hurt or something. And I'm like, and you said this afterwards, and I told it to her during the workout. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like you're gonna just touch, and you're gonna feel it, and Sarah's gonna see it, and it might even be you touch, but you're like, did I do it? I don't even know. Mm-hmm. Like when I had chest to bar pull-ups, I would have to actually try something wild to try to bash it hard into my chest. Like I would have to do a crazy arch thing and like just have it, and like maybe even throw my head into it to try to for what she's talking about, for it to hurt, yeah, I don't know what crazy thing would you have to do that? To like, ow,
I
that
mean,
hurt.
I would say that I make pretty hard impact.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like, especially where I'm hitting, and because of the way that I'm trying to get off of the bar, it's a little bit different because I'm almost using, like, I am bouncing back off of the bar to then get into my next kipped one.
Yeah.
But I also saw this cue where someone was talking about for kipping chest to bars to almost try to see over the top of the bar and like look at your feet from the top. So I end up pulling in like a lot more to almost like put myself over the bar. Like, I don't know, it depends, but
Well, no,
yeah,
that's a
it's always,
great cue because think about what the chest to bar pull up really is. It's its own standalone exercise that leads to great training and strength, especially if you can do them strict. It is also part of a bar muscle up. And if you get to the
yeah,
point where you're up and over and you can see your toes, well, I'm pretty sure you're in a good position to start transitioning over the bar. So great
yeah.
cue. And great thing to try to do. I imagine most people when they're doing a chest bar, think about where their head is. When they are arching their back a lot, they're looking up and they're probably tilting their head back. So where's the weight of their head?
Yeah.
It's behind the pull-up bar instead of being here, kind of getting on top of it.
And yeah, I was able to see that a little bit yesterday and today with people who had chest to bars, but not like a set of 10 chest to bars.
Yeah.
And you can see that the difference is almost like that verticality that like me and Mike can have, where we can go like this and then just kind of go back, versus the like, I am up and I'm now trying to pull myself through and touch, almost like if you were doing butterfly chest to bars. But yeah, you can see the difference where these people are able to like hit and then it's like almost like the dead drop down and they're not able to like string them together. They're usually like done in singles.
Sorry, I'm not trying to put anyone down. You've done it. But like, I think a good way to kind of think about it, like as a coach, and if as an athlete, this is how I would think about it for myself too. I have range of motion, not the movement yet. Like I can close that gap if you want me to, and we'll check it off the box. But I'm doing anyway, anyhow. I don't have control over this movement at all. Meaning, like I have to like be in this huge arch back extension, and I'm rowing with all my might, pulling with my hands. I'm kicking. I'm doing all kinds of things, and it's all with the goal of just touching my chest to bar. So I have a chest to bar in a sense of I can touch my chest to the bar, but I don't have a chest to bar pull up. And I can't control any of this range of motion, and I can't even control it at the kip swing. It actually doesn't even look like a kip swing anymore. And I can't get my chest to the bar and then go into another kip that would let me do another one because I fall straight down or I swing wildly, let alone do another pull-up. So I think people should think about things like that on like, even if, all right, if you got your first pull-up, okay, cool, we're happy about it, we're celebrating, maybe you had to jump or do something crazy to get your chin over that bar, but it's like you also have to be real with yourself and be like, this doesn't mean I have that thing. I need to do serious work. And I also don't want this to be the default way that I do it, because boy, every time now that I'm allowing the instant gratification of this way, it puts me so much further away to really being able to do them. And now comes the next step of frustration. So let's say you're my coach, Miguel. I've been training CrossFit for a year or several years, and I don't have my first pull-up. That's my frustration now. Then eventually I get it this other way. My next step of frustration is that it's never going to progress to be 3 pull-ups, 4 pull-ups, 5, 10. I'm never going to get to that next level because I literally am stopping myself now from getting there. So that'll be the next step of frustration that we're going to have to deal with. And I think it will last way longer than the first one when we were going from beginner to not having the movement to having some sort of movement. So we're talking more coaching here. What do you think about that? And I think, I think it's a fair conversation to have with athletes on like, hey, we still need to scale things. We still need to bring things back,
Yeah, I do think it is interesting. From at least the people that I know in the gym, it's like there is that level of understanding. And yeah, you're right, where it's like, hey, this is the open, just get these reps, versus like, okay, you may also have the awareness that this is like not how you want to do them. You want to be able to string them together. You want to be able to do full butterfly or full kipping. But then again, like, what are you doing outside of this time? And like, are you even taking regular cues that we're giving of like where your hands should be? All these different things of like, those are the things that'll get you to that point. And like, overall, the conversation with the open is like, this is the test once in the year. You have to do essentially like you have to study for it. You have to put in the time and everything outside of the actual open so that when it comes around with these skills that are going to show up, you that you've worked on them to a point that you're like, okay, I now know this movement better.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes your mind as an athlete has to mature a little ahead of your movement maturity. Like to have like that wisdom and that way around you on where like, okay, I'm not going to give myself the easy way outs. A great example is someone who clearly identifies every time on a wall ball that they didn't squat low enough or hit the target and no reps themselves. I don't see people at the gym doing that. I see people, they're like hitting just below the target and whatnot. And you're like, hey, you gotta go up there higher and whatnot. And then they're like, well, it's 20 wall balls. This is still a lot of wall balls for me, So it's like, I used to, if my wall balls fell apart during a workout, I would be, all right, well, I'm doing so many extra on this set that I now know I need to scale the other sets because like it's still work, but that's what one of the movements that I religiously no rep myself on and spend extra time on the wall at because I airball it all the time. I'm just not good at wall balls, and that never was. But then I was like, all right, I had to do 5. I got not 5 no reps on this. I think I need to cut the next set down to 20 or to 15 instead of 20, and like do little things like that because while those reps didn't count, it's still extra squats, but like I had to do extra squats here too to make sure it counted. I think people need to do that a little more. If it, like there's too much opportunity to game workouts and to give yourself the easy way out. It's like, oh, I'm taking the rollover. It's like, hey, that rollover over the course of the year, every single time you did it, made you worse. It held you back because how many extra calories did you really not do in training? How many reps that you knew weren't good that you like, how many times you dropped the dumbbell early when you weren't even over the line on the lunges, that's all that adds up. And then it turns into how you do one thing is how you do everything, so, and if you're cutting corners, in the actual training because you're tired or you're just, all right, it's just going to get it done today or whatever. Are you cutting corners on the other things outside of the gym? All right, well, I'm not even worrying about my nutrition, or I'm making it so easy that like I'm using goos and everything. Like that's cutting corners in nutrition, just using too much supplementation. I guess what would be a cutting corner there. And then you're going to end up frustrating when the annual assessment comes around. You're like, I can't do anything, or my capacity is not how I thought it would be. It's like, no, it's a stricter standard here. Even though I don't know if anyone's actually given out no reps. Did you get no rep at all? And did you no rep, Mike?
No, not for this one. I mean, on the first one, I think everyone, I don't know if that's true. I think I got 2 no reps on wall balls, and then I gave Mike a few no reps as well. But not for this one. But yeah, I think something that you said as well, I was looking at it for myself. I was thinking about the like pyramid again. And I was thinking about my own performance during this, because I have the skills to do these things, but like my capacity isn't at that level anymore. And I would say it's like I'm grateful that my skills haven't gone away first and then led down to like my capacity leaving. But it's funny because I can only get to even certain places in some of these workouts purely because I know like tips and tricks of this movement. Whereas like for the box jumps, I know how to, one, I can jump fine, but like I know how to step off of the box and then immediately get back up to like save myself a second here, save myself a second there. With the snatches, the dumbbell snatches, I can transition by just dropping it in front of myself. And I practiced that well enough that I can do that. Because today there were a lot of people bringing it all the way down to the floor and then grabbing it. And I could see like almost the seconds ticking away as they were doing it. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting, because one, I don't have the capacity to like rush through these workouts anymore. But if I didn't have like those skills of like little tiny things of transitioning, dropping the dumbbell and not having to take some time to switch hands and all of that, that I think I get capped a little bit earlier, because I already don't really have the capacity. So I have to like use these tricks that I've learned by like almost like studying each movement to get through.
Well, and to be efficient.
Like, yeah, like that of like obsessing over little things has like saved me this open, I feel. Because yeah, it was tough getting through, and even like testing the lunges and just knowing like, all right, you're gonna have to step this type of way. All right, if you need assistance, you have to kind of rest your arm a little bit in towards your head so that you can kind of have like a rest there, but still, and even knowing like, all right, the best way to walk with this is to have it fully locked out. The second my arm starts bending a little bit, I'm going to lose all of this.
I really do not know how in the world people do walking lunges with the dumbbell half bent overhead. Like I and not have like not just blown up shoulders, but like you injure your shoulder. Like I don't know how they do it. It would actually make me not want to do it. You know, like but like no, I would rather just and I tell people this in the workouts. I'm like, hey, if you can't do this, it's literally not worth it right now. You know, like you should either go like so crazy light that you actually can. But even if you go crazy light, even just holding an arm overhead, people's arms are still bent. They just don't have that overhead mobility yet. But like just bring it down here. But everyone's ego puts it right up over there. It's like, so I try to be in a lot of classes, tell people if like to get the most out of this movement, like if you want to get 100% capacity out of this movement, do it this way. If not, scale to this, and that will get you 100% of the lunging part and whatnot. But like if you're up here, your 100% goes down to I would say like 60%. We're gonna knock 40% off because you can just barely hold it up over your head. And now the rest of the workout's going to suffer. Like I can't imagine doing half pressed overhead lunges, then having to go do the dumbbell snatches. They'd be so much harder. And then having to get on a pull-up bar and swing around. Like shoulders would be cooked. Absolutely cooked.
Yeah. And I mean, like they already were. Like it's already something that's like you're getting exposed. And I was telling I was telling Bill and Celestino afterwards about the sometimes I just do mixed carries. Like if I come in early before I coach, sometimes I'll just do it with kettlebells, and I'll like do one front rack, do one overhead, and just walk down and back. Or like one down in a farmer's carry and one overhead, just because of that, like having something locked out overhead while you're moving is such a skill. Like I said, I was like worried when I saw it announced that the first thing were the overhead lunges, because I'm like, that's a move that is exposing to so many people, that like the only way, just like all of these movements, is like you have to touch it throughout the year. And not many workouts that we do have like a overhead carry.
No.
So,
yeah, there are a lot, like, and we don't do wall balls that much throughout the year. And, we do squat often throughout the year, but it's also not the same. It's not the same because you're so close to the wall. And everyone, like it's a throw. So they just instantly go to their toes, especially if you're on the shorter side, you might be fully on in the air, when you do it. And the standards have never changed since the beginning of the wall ball to account for different heights and all that other stuff. So it's a skill all on its own, So I understand why the argument of like, well, you don't need to do wall balls often because it's such a light weight and you squat often. And if your squat mechanics are sound, yes, if your squat mechanics are sound, you're going to have a way easier time on the wall ball for sure. But being able to have the strength to launch that ball off your chest X amount of feet in the air and then catch it again and go back down. It's even if you're really great at power cleans, so you're like receiving a weight, and bracing for the impact. If you're doing box jumps, bracing for impact, and then doing all the squats and you have a super strong squat, you're still going to have trouble with wall balls. You still might.
Yeah.
When I was weightlifting full time and I had strong legs and I squatted every day, wall balls, even though that weight should be light and it did feel light, it was still a problem, because like it's not all the time that if you do a jerk, like the bar just goes from here to here. Now I have to launch this ball all the way up into the air. It just was never the same. Never the same.
Yeah.
So, and same thing with these overhead walking lunges. Like I do know sometimes there's overhead carries and stuff in the program, which is great. We don't always do them, but because it's normally the accessory work, and we typically spend all of our time with the main workout. But staggering your feet and taking that knee all the way down, oh boy, like that's a whole another thing. I think we should do more lunging there's just lunging in the programming, because even lunging itself pops up so randomly. And then every now and then, sorry, I'm going on a rant now about the programming. Every now and then we'll have like that one-off day where it's like, do 4 sets or 6 sets of whatever on barbell lunging once in a blue moon. And it's like, all right, constantly varied. Yes. I don't think that's going to do anything for anybody in the long term of it, because then we're not going to lunge again for a really long time. And lunging is known as this thing that pops up once in a blue moon, and you're going to be crazy sore after it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if the programming will change at all. So that was your biggest limiter, and a lot of people's was the weakness exposed on the lunging. Harsh no reps on if you do get one on the lunge. If you stagger your feet, if you bring down that dumbbell, if you don't cross the line, you're going all the way back. And for some people that might be okay, but for other people like yourself, that's devastating. You were joking around that you might that if you got a no rep on the lunges, that might just be the workout, right?
It would take me a full minute to recover mentally from having to take another set of lunges over again.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I was already resting and like really having to concentrate while doing them. If I got like halfway at least and then had to go all the way back, I'd I might have to go take a walk and then come back into it. But yeah, again, I think other things are related too, because I saw a lot of people lose it at the last step. And I think it's that thing of like, you got to be ready to run everything through the line. Almost like your last rep isn't done until you're sure it's done. But like their foot gets over the line, you see that their overhead position is already softening, and then it like, as they're recovering, it's like it's down, and you're like, no, like you are so close, but like your mind just has this thing of like, I've done enough, where it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just hitting the escape button early. You know, it's like in weightlifting, not continuing to drive into the bar to support it while you bring your feet back together on a split jerk. See that all the time on just like loose recoveries, and it's like you're not done yet. You know, like you gotta keep it together, and we do see that often in classes, and people get upset when you tell them, hey, you didn't do the last lunge, you know, because they see the line there and they just like give up on the rest of it. It's like your back foot wasn't even moving yet, and you started to lower the dumbbell down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're good as a gym on having standards. You know, we have them, and it's because we also prioritize, you know, range of motion and progressions and good movement technique and technique in general. Maybe we need to add a little more of that on like people like sometimes they hear what you're saying, but they don't think it's important. So they don't do it. You know, like if we are like, we'll keep it on the lunging, you know, like there was one athlete who's not in the open, and he was doing the workout solo, and his foot touched the line, and he stood up, and then he brought the dumbbell down and walked over it. And I was right there, and I'm like, what was that? And he's like, I know, and whatnot. And it's like, all right, like I'm not gonna make you go. I'm not gonna make you go back right now. But it's like, but this is also this person's attitude through. It's like, why don't you care enough? Like, it's like you're literally just going through the motions. You're like, and it is a pet peeve of mine of like range of motion for the sake of range of motion, or with only range of motion. It should be the muscles that get you through the range of motion, you know, not your joints and other things, or just completing it anyway, anyhow. So it's just, that's a perfect example of like, you're not in the open. And if you were in the open, you'd be held to a higher standard. But when we do try to hold you to a higher standard throughout the rest of the year, it's just, you're not going to do it. You know, I don't know. Do we have to, maybe with some people, or like, do we just have to be more hard asses about like, hey, no, don't count, do another one, you know?
Yeah,
I think so. And we have this conversation every open, every open on like, we are going to put foot to butt, you know, on some things. But like, even when you do that for a while, the same people still just, they don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, they just, they as well.
It's funny. Every gym has this conversation, especially this time of year as well. I was hearing, so some gyms have like the targets instead of lines on the wall for wall balls. And they've like played around with like, okay, it is a target, but we set them up so that the bottom of the target is 9 feet. The bottom of the target is 10 feet. You know for sure that that's what it is. Because they were like, we made the target and then the line's in the middle of that circle. And people just feel like, I've hit the target. That counts. So they're like, nope, the bottom of the target. So it's clear. If you miss it, it hits the bottom and it bounces back a different way. So you know that's a no rep. Like there's nothing you can kind of do with that. But yeah, they were also talking about like when you having regular class members judging and they don't know, like, because they're not looking in a workout the way that we are when we're coaching typically. So they don't really know how to look and see the target and also see depth in what depth looks like per se, and all of these different things. But yeah, it's a conversation that happens every year, all the time.
Yeah. Oh boy, the depth on the wall balls. Man, I could destroy that leaderboard. On just like nope, none of these count. And it's like, it's not that we're not working on full depth. It's just it's normal. It is normal for athletes and anyone doing a workout to try to make it as easy as possible. But the ways that they're trying to be energy efficient aren't like the way that you're being energy efficient. When you switch the dumbbell in the air and these little nuances in your movement, what they're doing is they just hack and slash range of motion. Mm-hmm. All right. Even in the warm-up, we do pause squats with the wall ball. Everyone's below parallel. This is where we need to go. We're pausing down here so you can feel it, so your brain gets it, and we hopefully open up some range of motion with whatever stretch you're feeling down there. But the second you say 3, 2, 1, go, it's going to be 5 inches higher, like right at parallel. A way to fix that would be to give people targets, like put down a second wall ball, and that way they get that memory and that frequency of hitting the target every single time, no matter what. And then maybe even like count a set with them and be like, no, you got to do 5 more. You didn't squat below parallel. And we do have smaller classes. So if I get someone 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, like I'm way more of a bear about it and be like, no, your toes didn't touch the bar. That's not 12. You have to do 1 more, it's harder in a bigger class to do those things, and also, to be honest, in a bigger class or smaller class, you would just spend your entire time just policing and judging, versus like maybe coaching other things. I think the athletes have to have some kind of accountability with it.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Last movement. We didn't go over the snatches yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to Mike, talk to Shaf. Our backs are blown up in a way that I haven't felt. I don't know if it's been this level ever, but definitely not in a very long time.
Low back?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the dumbbell snatches get people. And I originally thought, like what you were saying earlier, if you're switching on the floor, like that's so much extra time bent over too, and you're going to start to give position and let things go, versus like a quick tap and come right back up. Because I think the 3 of you do the same technique. This is my theory for you guys.
We do.
It's when the dumbbell is facing forward and you swing it back between your legs very far, and then you have to swing it forward. And also, the dumbbell is out here when you guys swing it versus here. I hate this option. I understand why you're doing it, but like I was thinking about this yesterday. It is a snatch in a sense that it's going from the floor to overhead. If I pick up a pen and bring it overhead, that's a snatch, right? But I think if you're teaching dumbbell snatches, I think it's best to teach it with the arm and the high pull and the dumbbell this way, parallel to your body. I think it's the technique that you guys use. I could be wrong.
I didn't realize it until, and it's funny because we do it to varying degrees, and I could tell based on like when we started to feel it. So like I don't like to get it straight off the floor because of that, but like I would finish my lunges and I would go directly, still locked out for my lunges, cross the line, and then bring it down for my first one. But I was noticing when Mike was picking his up, the first place it would off the floor is back. And then I was like, oh, we're all doing it back. And then Shaf is the same. I think the difference with Shaf, while he kind of blew up a little bit earlier than we did, is also because body weight wise, I think it feels like less of weight for him. So he's a little less quick on like the turnover.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's using his back for longer because he doesn't feel the need to like really rip it through. So I was really watching, especially when Mike was going, and then seeing Schaff too. And then like, yeah, by the end, Schaff's back really blew up. And then like I got home and I was like, my back is really blown up.
Yeah.
And I do think it's that. Yeah.
Well, okay. So tell me, so you all use the same technique, which and the problem is too, this is like if we're doing training, like if we're training, you should be using the other style of snatch. You should be keeping the dumbbell close, because also it's going to expose the limits of your shoulder flexibility. If it's out here, we want it to be here or whatnot. But you gloss over all of that when it just shoots up like this, and it also hits the shoulder in a different way. So like not even the back, like everything else is different. And so it's like, what makes you pick this option? Is it because it's slightly faster to cycle? You've seen games athletes do it. It feels easier to do it versus actually being easier, which I would almost argue, if it blows up your back, but the other way doesn't blow up your back, is it really easier, to do? Like there's got to be something about it. So let's start there. Why pick this way?
I think especially if you're doing muscle snatches, if you're not moving your feet, you're just keeping everything just going straight up. I do think that it is the easier and faster way.
The easier, definitely faster, maybe easier perceived way. Because like I'm watching Mike do it, and the dumbbell is in front of his face during the turnover part. It's leaving the area of the base, which we know in weightlifting is very important. So the bar is no longer over the feet at all. If anything, for Mike, it might be this far out in front of the foot. So like we know mechanically that's going to be harder, more work in some way. But it feels but maybe it perceived feels easier. And it's also might just be faster to cycle through.
I think the overhead position is really where it is. And I think that with the dumbbell perpendicular to yourself, it is more easily controlled overhead than doing the like full-on shrug and doing it the long way kind of over yourself. I think of it almost as like with the split jerk, where you're like, all right, the weight is distributed evenly front and back over your center. And I think it's kind of the same way for these snatches, where with the dumbbell that way, it's kind of sitting in your middle, where the one head of it is in front of you while one head is in the back, versus it just being across. Because then,
well, you're getting it to the point where it would be for a push press or a press overhead. You're getting it to that finished position versus being here. You're getting it here.
Yeah. So I do think it's mostly that overhead position, why I never really liked it. Because it feels like sometimes like you're almost gonna go too far back as you turn over.
And that makes sense for you because you have had a history of just overhead position being one of the most challenging positions for you. Feeling jerks, locking out snatches, what are my shoulders doing type of a thing. So I can see how it could be appealing. But I wonder if training the other way would make it better, would make it stronger, because you'd have to stabilize, you'd have to figure it out, and you'd be like, oh, okay, no problem. And before, like, I see there are periods of time. At one point, it's like the stepping burpee. At one point, hardly anyone was stepping, or you were stepping because you were dying. But it's still like, all right, it may not have counted, or like it was just like you were just getting up and getting down at that point. You were scaling it if you were stepping. with some point with the dumbbell snatches, everybody was doing them that way. But then once at the top level, the games athletes started just to figure out, how do I finish the range of motion XYZ way? Then it starts to take on with the masses on like, well, let me try that. Like, oh, okay. Especially when X amount of videos come out on like, someone makes a video like, let me show you the most efficient way to do this for this workout. And they're doing it this way. That now becomes the default standard on how to do it. But if you take the dumbbell, the CrossFit dumbbell course, when they go over the dumbbell snatches, what way is this set up? Like the way it should be. So I think if we're going to look at it from a coaching perspective, we should probably teach it the other way, dumbbell flat, and because of all the benefits that come with that, because you can't even really do a high pull that way, you know.
No, it always feels super weird when we do it, because we do like, all right, deadlift, then deadlift with a high pull, now the full snatch, and then it's like, yeah, but I don't know if I can do that still going the same way. But it's actually interesting that you said the like timing of everything, because I was thinking about this after the three of us did it, watching Kyle and Jackie do it today as well, because they do their snatches differently than me, Mike, and Shaf. And I think that's like because they've been doing CrossFit long, and that's how everyone did their dumbbell snatches. Was
they're like a snapshot from 2014 to 2016.
Yeah.
They kind of are. It's actually pretty fun to see.
After.
That's it's a pretty fun thing to see, because like so many things that I see them do are like the original way, but the original way is not an inefficient way, you know. And it's just these games athletes, the way that they move and what we see at the games, it has such a profound impact. Even if someone doesn't see the video of XYZ coach being like, all right, here's an efficient way to get this range of motion and work done, you know, just getting work done for the sake of work done. They're seeing that, and they're seeing the games athletes doing it, and they're like, well, I wonder if that will work for me. And then they do it, and maybe it shaves off a little bit of time, but like the seconds aren't worth the physiological adaptation, you know, or staying injury free, even, because like when you look what it's done to your back. And I won't let the regular dumbbell snatch get any kind of leeway on this. The first time dumbbell snatches came up and everybody was doing it the parallel way, the regular way, everybody was still switching on the floor, and everyone's backs were still getting blown up. And also we had to do box jumps with them. So also the pairing was like not a way that would be the best to help with that. Well, burpee box jumps and dumbbell snatches, everyone's backs destroyed. Makes sense. But it's like, it is a race. So people need to figure out how to do the race as fast as possible. We need to, at the class level, be like, none of that today. We're training, getting the dumbbell up overhead, and we're doing these high pulls because their strength, their neurological adaptation too, when we're practicing the motion of it. You could even argue that muscle snatch versus power snatch, which I kind of feel like with the dumbbell, the muscle should be the default way to do it. You know, like it's not I don't know if it needs to be a drop and land movement, which you could, but that also changes the mechanics of it, because I think when the dumbbell's turned, people can get their hips back easier than they can when it's forward like this.
So I will say, I definitely saved my back a little bit by doing a few powers. And I think it's that pull under where I'm not using my back the entire time to get it up. There is a point where I was doing the powers where I was like, yeah, this little tiny duck under is just enough for me to like relieve that pressure from my back. But yeah, to like back to everything that we've been saying, it's like you have to touch everything specifically. Like it is good to get like the basics, you know, like a press, a squat, a pull. And that if you get strong in those, you'll be strong in, you know, just movements. But like testing out each and every way to do something and knowing how to like helps you in crazy ways. Like, because you'll never know when it's like, oh, it feels bad to do it this way. Like, I need to figure it out on like something where you're testing and you are like, this is the open, I have to get these done, you know? So yeah, I think it's interesting to go like, oh, I have to try out all of these movements, all of these different ways and see what works best for me. Whether that's, all right, which way am I going to hold the dumbbell when I'm overhead lunging? Because if I do it this way, I can a little bit on here, or that stacks it a little bit better as I'm using both legs, versus if I'm here, maybe I like this position overhead more, but when I lunge on this side, maybe it feels like I'm leaning a little bit too far, and just figuring that out. And I think that that's something that most people should be doing more, is just playing around with movements and really like refining.
Yeah, refine them, focus on the technique first, build the strength. I do think on an overhead lunge, this is a completely appropriate way to hold the dumbbell, you know, because like there's no like snatch element involved in it. Like you just clean it to your shoulder, which would have to be that way, press it overhead, and then your legs are going to be forward and back with the length of the dumbbell. So the dumbbell's just kind of following along with it. I wonder if, I mean, it's not gonna solve all of our problems, but if an athlete practiced or if we did more at all, because what's one movement that never, I can guarantee you, didn't come up once in the programming, probably for the last couple of years, the dumbbell squat snatch. Everyone stays away from it. Everyone's afraid of that movement, right? Even in just general programming, it doesn't come up that much. It's because we know all the problems that are going to come up with it. I think if you trained that and got the flexibility for that and the awareness for that, you probably wouldn't do the dumbbell snatches this way. You would, because like, good luck doing it that way. Well, I mean, I know people can. I know you can, but like, you're going to be on your toes. And we do want this thing of where if you get really good at the dumbbell snatches, doing it the right way, keeping the dumbbell close, the dumbbell will teach you how to keep the barbell close when you're connected and it wants to go out away. If you're doing them like this, now your dumbbell snatch is more than likely not going to feed into your barbell snatch. And if the dumbbell snatch is like way down here at the like negative level of the base of building up a regular snatch, like it's not even really in the equation, but if you wanted it to, it could come up here and give you a really help you get way better at the regular barbell snatch. Never going to get there if this is your default, or if this is the only way you know how to do it. And if you're a newer athlete, let's say 1 to 5 years, you know, and this is just how you do it, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot when it comes time for barbell stuff too. And then there comes that frustration. It's always dropping in front of me. Why can't I get it? Well, it's because you won't do that thing that's going to help you to get there. You know, you figured out the dark secrets that aren't helping you to get the things you actually want. I think that's maybe a way to think about it. Do you actually want the seconds that some obscure technique way gets you in an open workout or any given workout? Or do you actually want to snatch body weight or actually want to get muscle ups or these other things? Because there's so many little things that you could be doing that are holding you back in the grand scheme. Even the way you're jumping up on a box, you know, do your power cleans transfer into your box jumps, transfer into your double unders? What are your jumping mechanics? Boy, we could spend, how much time could we spend, Miguel? We won't do it now, on jumping mechanics and what we normally see and what should be happening and what's actually happening.
Literally, that was class today. Because we had box jumps as part of it and then hang power clean.
Yeah.
And I had to do that thing where I was like, guys, this is how you jump. Because I was like, you guys are doing the same thing on both movements. It's the same movement. Like, you have to open up your hips to get up to the box. Like, everyone like crouches down and then jumps still crouched. And I'm like, that's why you're not getting as high. That's why you're almost like you're going to fall forward off the box. And then when you're doing your cleans, you're not opening up all the way. That's why you have to run in front and chase it. And but No, that was exactly class today with the power cleans and box jumps.
There's plenty of gyms out there. One of the mentors for the Knowledge Pro, in his gym, they don't program box jumps. So multiple level 4s at the gym, all that stuff. They follow cap, but they'll move things around, based on when they want to do them. And they don't do box jumps. He's completely against them. Like in the open, he's doing them, right? People were busting on him. Like, did you actually jump on a box? And I was like, yeah, but they don't do them in the Metcon. I don't even know if they do them every once in a while just for technique and whatnot. But I think there would be a lot of value on jumping on super low boxes, and getting really, really good at that. Like I see way more value in jumping on a 6-inch or a 12-inch box than jumping on a 30-inch box for 99.9% of our actual members in the gym right now, on just and how that would be better for your weightlifting and other things. The problem is people see it on the board and they're like, I can jump on that 20-inch box 20 times and whatnot, and yeah, I don't know if it's worth it either, for those peeps. And also it's like, okay, how are your squat mechanics? Now you're trying to jump in laterally to your squat mechanic and then go off the box to not stand up. It's like you can't even squat below parallel, or you refuse to squat below parallel. Now you're going to do this thing on a box. And it's funny, the people that typically they'll squat below parallel in the warm up, or when you force them to, then they'll just default to whatever they want to do when you turn your back. Those are also the ones, funnily, that cannot do that low box land and then peel off the box. And they can't do it. They land super high and they have to stand tall and hunch over and get off. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? There's a great example of it. So I don't know. I think about at times on like, all right, if I had a fresh gym and an unlimited blank check and whatnot, and all the things that I would want to do, I would totally want stall bars on a wall for working on some of the gymnastic skills, but also for scaling options, just to control the swing. They would be separate for so long, get strong on the bars, practice the coordination here outside, but then in the Metcon we would do strict all the time. Because why are you trying to do this? P bars I think would be great for people to be able to do dip stuff, and also some hand walking. I think that'd be great. And I would also probably only do box jumps to low boxes. It just wouldn't be a thing at McDermott Fit on 24-inch. Every now and then when we do Fight Gone Bad, cool, let's do it. Let's have fun with it. But the majority of our training would be training jump mechanics to low boxes. Maybe more similar to what we do in Barbell Club, even though sometimes in Barbell Club we try to go a little higher. If we're doing a sit to a jump, jumping up on something, you kind of do need a higher box for some of those drills. But yeah, I don't know. Well, what would Porter Fit do?
See, with the jumping, I feel like I would almost do the opposite. I feel like I wouldn't want you to even I guess you could choose, but I think because of my background in sports, I would do you have to show me your mechanics in jumping before you can even move on to something like a power clean, where it's I want to see you learn how to open up your hips before we get to something where you're then moving something else off of the opening of your hips. So broad jumps, we again, in Barbell Club when we do them, but jumping forward, then jumping to the side, then jumping straight up, how are you able to do those things? Because I think a good indicator too of right now when we go to the barbell, it's the same thing, just open up. And I feel like if you understand that at that level with just your own body, it's pretty easily transferred that way as well.
So you would wouldn't you want to do the body stuff into the weighted stuff? Or is it body stuff into there's branches weighted and box and they're kind of like that.
Right. So like you can do, right. So like I would need to see you jump before you can jump onto a box. And then like once I see like you're good, then I think then you can go on to like jumping onto higher boxes, doing power cleans and stuff like that.
So tell me, so one, the workout today is a perfect example because it has both of them. So you're at Porter Fit, you have a class of 15 athletes. That's the workout on the board. One, is that the workout on the board? Is that workout ever being programmed? So like with the way you're saying on having people do these things, is that even a workout that even gets written on the board? Like, how do we get there?
Yeah, I mean,
or are you doing it?
Level classes.
Are you doing it? But hey, you can handle all levels. You got, let's say you got a games athlete, you got grandma in there. You're probably going to figure this all out during the warm up and the skills practice, right? And then tell people like, all right, nope, no, do that, dumbbells. Like, is that because what we're both kind of saying should be baked into every class, on like how we're doing these things. So are you doing this on individual one-on-one assessment, or is the Porter Fit method able to handle 15 athletes at all various levels?
No, it's not. Simply,
it's different.
It is not. No, because I always bring up wrestling, but I almost want to like make things to that level of like, I want you to have so much, or like simply just gymnastics, right? Of like, I want you to have so much control over your body first before you try to move anything external. And I'd have to at least see like some level of proficiency in that before you can move on. Because I feel like so many things are like fixable. But again, like it's hard to do in like a regular CrossFit class because it's like, yeah, but everyone kind of moves like that. And then like you can give cues and kind of get things better, and I wouldn't say fix, but like get people in a good spot for the day where you're like, okay, yeah, you are doing it now. But I feel like that overall awareness of like, this is just how my body moves, because like correct movement, and it's just been hammered into me. So I can't do it any other way but to open up the hips every time.
And people, they latch on to things, right? Especially once they figure out they can accomplish the range of motion in some way or lift that weight in some way. And then they're going to want to do it, or they don't feel like they're doing enough, or they have this thing before they come in. What I think would be cool if, let's say, McDermott Fit, Miguel's coming to class. You don't know what the workout is. Like, you come to class and we, I greet you, and maybe I'll explain like, all right, today we're gonna do an AMRAP of a bunch of different skills, but like you don't know the workout in advance. We're just gonna start warming up, and I'm like, all right, guys, grab boxes. Let's start working on box jumps, and we go through things, and we practice them, and I stop you at certain points, and we're working mechanics. Maybe we do like a mini workout of them or something like that. Then we kind of move on to the next skill. So still general warm up, and then skills practice things. And then we would go to the board, and I would put the workout maybe on the board at that time and explain what we're trying to get out of this workout. Like, we've already done all the skills practice, but you were doing the skills practice without the thought of like, I got to do 100 of these later, and everything's geared towards that. Instead, everything was geared towards just the movement mechanics and doing it the right way. And then if I write 50 box jumps, 50 burpees, 50 pull-ups, whatever it's going to be on the board, and then almost like in Barbell Club, like I already know what your version of the workout is going to be because I know you're coming to class, and I might, like give you a card or something at that point, like, all right, Miguel, you're doing 45 of these, or you're doing this, and you're going to do jumps to that low box. Or I might take your card. You know what? In the skills practice, I think we're ready for this. Let me just slice this out. I'd rather you do 20 double unders than 100 single unders. But like, I think there'd be a lot more. It'd be better individualized, better scaling. Versus like a lot of gyms and ours in the past, and even ours right now, if you get enough people in the class, you may have a general idea of what everyone's doing, but like you may not as well,
Yeah.
Like, how do you think a CrossFit class like that would work out? Like, if you were in that class and you're coming to class, it's whatever the coach has planned that day, right?
Mhm.
Let's say if you were coming to gymnastics classes, all right, class, today we're working on this stuff, right? So you come into class and this coach has prepared the shit out of this class for you. Warm-ups, skills practice, your individual assignment. Does the workout even matter at that point? Like, have we gotten too much into just the work, just the wrist wraps, just the standards, just what counts? Like, have we gotten too much into that stuff? Well, like, what do you? So I have two questions here. How would you feel being in a class type like that, where like the coach has planned your workout for you, and it's no different, Miguel, that if you were my one-on-one client, I would be giving you this version of the workout.
Right.
But I have this main one on the board just to show you the upper limit of it, and then everything's scaled underneath it. So let's start there. How do you think a class like that would work out?
I feel like CrossFit's the only place that doesn't do that. I feel like every other place is like, yeah, your expectation is that you go in and that they tell you what you're gonna do that day, or they might not tell. Like, I'm thinking about like personal trainers, even where it's like, I've gone to like some of those like smaller things, or like with a friend who has a personal trainer, and it's like we're doing something and we're warming up and we're doing all these things, and then it's like the workout starts. Everything that we might have done before could be completely unrelated, or like not, or I guess not unrelated, but like you wouldn't have expected this to be the workout.
Yeah. Which I would want it to be interlocked,
right. But like, yeah, what you're saying is like CrossFit is very much like, what's the rep scheme? What's this? Like, most places I feel like you don't know. And they're just like, yeah, we're working on this, and then our workout will be. Sometimes it feels like they're just saying it on the fly, but like I feel like that's a regular thing. Like a lot of people go into like combat sports where you might know, like, all right, I'm doing mitts today, I'm striking today, or whatever, but you don't know like what they're giving you.
Yeah. Like, let's say in this scenario, maybe a weekly email and post or something. Hey, Monday, hinge and run. That's all you know.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some kind of hinging and running. That's that. And so this is like almost like a clue of what the actual workout's going to be. So okay, bring your running shoes or whatever it is. The next day's jump rope, pull up bars, and this. Like, I'm just kind of giving you an equipment list, but and that way too. Like, I feel like it gets into the it's the unknown and unknowable. Like, as soon as the workout posts, right? And then you can also be like, nah, I'm not coming in for that class, or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the way that I would hope to solve the I'm not coming into that class is that even though you don't know the workout, you see running and hinging, and you're like, I hate running. But you're like, you know what? This dude has my workout written down already. He's programmed for me, because that would be the finality of programming, is what is Miguel doing? Right? So like, we have our general barbell club workout. And then when I give you your numbers, that is an extension of the main programming. This is now the specific Miguel programming for what that workout is. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that's really missing in CrossFit, and it's super hard too with people showing up 10 minutes into class, stuff like that. People treating it too much like a general like fitness class. Oh, I'm late for step aerobics and whatnot. And it's like, there's an element of that into the general CrossFit class. I would like just to move it away from it a little bit. I'm like, because like, that's how we can actually do even more serious, effective training, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, like, can I do that stuff on the fly? All right. Here's how you're scaling based off of all this. But I don't know, how much tighter would it be if I'm, because like when I'm sitting down and I'm writing down you guys' cards for Barbell Club, I know all the issues that are going on with you guys already, and I have this captive audience. So like, I know like, okay, when I write down the snatches here for Haley right now, like I'm putting a note on there, use the 6-inch risers right now, because we can't go that little extra distance. And I know eventually too, this is going to change to 12-inch risers. And then I also know eventually it's going to change to seated snatches with a dumbbell, probably, like I know that in advance, but also I'm writing it down for her. And that way, like, because also she's not going to, but she could be the athlete coming in and be like, I'm going to see what I can do today. Like, no, on the card, like, what are you talking about? We shouldn't be doing this. Look, your card says do this,
Right.
So I don't know. I think that'd be a fun way to do it. It'd be a cool experiment to do. Would that deter a lot of people on just not knowing what the workout is?
I think at first it would be weird, but again, like you go to anything outside of CrossFit, and I feel like that's the reality.
Yeah.
Where you generally have no clue what it is that you're going to do until they're like, all right, like we give the whiteboard brief and that could be it, where it's like, this is what we're doing today. But like a lot of places won't have anything posted, or like specific at least, where it's like, this is the move that we're working on today. We're going to do it for 20 minutes. And then we're doing, like, a lot of places you don't know until you step.
Yeah. Well, and what I would hope,
cool, like summer week series of like, yeah, essentially, and just call it like a mystery workout.
Yeah. And it's like, all right,
cool.
And like, I don't know how much people would do it now, but like, I would almost want it to be a thing of like, if you text other people what the workout is and stuff, you're kind of an asshole. Like that's like ruining the spoiler at the end of the movie, the twist, that's how I would want it to be, but I would expect people to do that. But another thing that I would hope that it would maybe change the mindset of, when that every single part of the class is just as valuable as what is written on the board. And I feel like a lot of people don't feel that way. They feel like the general warm-up, the whiteboard brief, the skills practice, the practice rounds, that those are all just stepping stones to get to what is actually important, which it's not. I would want to be like, it's all training. We're doing training. Why are we doing these knee hugs across the room? Because we're training. Well, and then where does the line between training and working out kind of blur? At some point during this workout, right? Like, it's like, and then it doesn't matter that we did like, oh, okay, we're gonna let's use this open workout as an example, right? All right, do 40 foot of walking lunge. Now do 80 foot of walking lunge with body weight. Now do 40 foot with just the dumbbell here. Then do this. So we would do all these sets, right? And like, are we training, or are we warming up, or are we prepping? Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the answer is yes. But if you see the workout on the board, you might start to be like, this is all taking away from my final score at the end of the workout. This is going to make it so I can't perform. It's like, no, I already got your butt doing 40 lunges during that workout, because once we speed things up, I don't need you doing 80 lunges, like, but it's like, these are not for nothing. This is all training right now, I was thinking about how, like, when I used to weight train, there'd be some days I would spend like an extra long time with the barbell. Like, let me do a couple sets of high pulls. Like, it's not just a stepping stone to the other. It's like, I'm kind of training this today. Or you ever on your own with a barbell, just empty barbell, just kind of go like on like a flow. Like, what is like, all right, I'm going to go down here. And yeah, I will shrug. And then I will do this. Mm-hmm. And then like feel things out. And then repeat that a couple times and do some press unders and pauses, and then other ones without it before you ever even get weight on the bar. You ever do that?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of, if we do too much of that, people start to feel like we're taking away from the actual work. And it's like, I don't think it should be like that. I think it should just be, it's all training. Warming up, the line blurs into, we actually start to ramp things up. And then if you're feeling beat, like, okay, now we're going to do these 5 rounds and whatnot. And you're like, oh my God, wait a minute, we have to do 5 rounds now. It's like, yeah, but like, I wrote that workout and it has 80 feet I only need some of you doing the 80 feet, you know, and then you're like, well, why aren't I doing the 80 feet? Because you're going to put down the dumbbell 17 times. You already did the stuff there, you know. That's why I think the practice round is are important, and all that prep. It's like, I think sometimes people like forget, it's like you've already done X amount of lunging. So if you go to 3 rounds now for the final Metcon type thing, it's almost like the Metcon at the end is like the finisher, you know, to finish off the training for the day versus being the only thing that counts.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's still constantly varied. It still checks all the boxes. I think people would be better prepared and possibly get more fit than not that the program we're doing right now can't get you crazy fit. I think it would set us up to be more fit. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, because I think you already there's already like the cherry picking aspect of it, but it's also just the pre-setting expectations and limitations for yourself mentally before you even get there, where you're like, I can't. So even as we're warming this up, I'm already going into this. I'm grabbing onto the pull-up bar, but I know I'm not doing the final step, because in your idea, because it's written down, there is a final step versus just like, no, you're just working on something today.
And you get to the end workout, I write double unders on there. You didn't go through all of the jump rope drills and practice we did, and we spent serious time with it, thinking, okay, it's a single unders day for me type of thing, because I could easily write up there boxer steps or like anything on there, and we'd have practiced it, but you didn't have this preconceived notion going into it on like where the limit is that day. And then also, if you think about it, like, of course, we give all this advice on like, if you can't do this, you should do this. If you can do this, you should do that. And like, all right, Miguel, what are you thinking about these muscle ups? And you're like, oh, I'm thinking about doing 10 or whatnot. It's like, wouldn't it be better if I just gave you the prescription? Like, who is the coach? Who is the professional? Who is the instructor here? And then, like, as you earn the ability to, if I give you that card and you look at it and you're like, hey, would it be all right if I do, I think I could do 5 muscle ups instead of these 15 transitions. All right. Well, based off what I'm seeing today, 5 seems like a lot. Why don't you do 3? Like, I feel like you should have to earn that discussion. And I feel like I'm having a lot of unearned discussions, if that makes sense, just because of the way the format and the culture is set up. Does that make sense?
No, for sure. I totally get that. Yeah. Yeah. Because again, there's like this, because it's written and you're like, that is the thing.
It's the law. And sometimes it may feel like, what people need to understand, what's written on that board, I am above the law. Like if Miguel's coaching class, Miguel is above the written law on the commandment on the TV. If 40 people showed up to a Sunday class and you're like, guys, this workout's switching to dumbbells, it's switching to teams of 4, you're cycling through as an AMRAP, one partner's resting, whatnot, no one should be upset about that. And some gyms have to do that. I wonder sometimes, what would happen if I came in and the workout said one thing and I said, you know what, guys, I changed my mind. For this class, we're doing this. Like, people, I feel like, would lose their mind a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But if you went to a gymnastics, but if you went to a gymnastics class or something, maybe if you even knew it was pull-up day and they're like, you know what, we're not doing pull-ups today. I want to get you guys an extra day of handstand work, or for XYZ reason. That should be the law. It should be the spoken law, not the written law. Or even if on a Sunday it was one workout and you guys and you were like, you know what, part of CrossFit is constantly varied, being ready for the unknown and the unknowable. This is not the workout we're doing, and then you switch to thing. Is that okay? Is that I think it should be okay. Yeah, it should be. Are you still going to get effective training that day? Yeah.
There's so many things that people worry about that I'm like, what are you even like, like before we do a Metcon, if you're saying, all right, well, let's build up to a heavy deadlift, 2 reps before, and people are like, that's not in Wodify. And they're worried about like, but can I put the score in? I really feel like that's it. But then sometimes it's like, you guys aren't even putting your scores in enough regularly to really be worried about if everything is a Wodifiable thing.
Yeah.
Like, you should just be able to just do things. Like, if I wanted to say, all right, guys, for the first half of class, we're just doing a heavy Turkish getup. It shouldn't matter if it's in Wodify or not.
Yeah,
But
and
again,
if it's
I
not,
think it's
add performance, add it in there.
Yeah, but I think it's just the way we've been conditioned in CrossFit itself, and just like a used to thing. I think it's something that easily people could get out of their mind, though. Like, if they were just forced to for like a month, it would become the regular thing where they're just like, yeah, it could be anything.
There are tons of gyms, just like there's some that don't do box jumps. Some gyms don't do muscle ups, which I don't entirely agree with either one of those. I don't agree with like hack and slashing the most complicated skills things just because everyone's mindset of like, I'm never going to get one. It's like, okay, so there's no benefit at all to doing it on the floor and whatnot. Like, that destroyed our only 2 people doing ring muscle ups yesterday. That was one of the hardest parts of class for you, right? Like, I don't know if you have like a top 3 parts of class, but maybe that's one of them, or top 5, or it's definitely top 10 parts hard of yesterday for you. But like, so I don't agree with that. I think, of course, do them in smart ways, and do things that would get people strong. I would also want a fleet of those Power Monkey ring things, strap people up and practice stuff for strength. I kind of lost my train of thought where I was going with that. What did you just say? You said something just before that sparked something.
Yeah, I think it's just the getting used to overall switching up. Yeah.
There's a lot of gyms that don't have RX weights. It just says 15 power cleans. Some gyms might do percentage stuff. I think percentage stuff is dumb. We have trained percentages so much in Barbell Club, and you guys have actual like PRs. Like this is not just like it was heavy for the day, but like you can tell like whatever. Like, we have trained it enough where it's like, no, that is the upper threshold of your back squat. Like, there's no way around it. So we have actual percentages. And the way that the percentages change wildly from day to day, week to week, like based off of everything you're doing, 70% might be like 90% one day for you. And I'm like, well, I thought it should feel like a moderate weight and whatnot. And it's like, no, this is like 100% for the day. So I don't think it matches up. And also, the further you go up the rep change, it starts to lose its correlation on what it's actually going to be. Because also, once you add in all those reps, the demand is different. Now we're going to a metabolic demand versus like your. So I don't like to do the percentages. I hate when people are like, what percentage of my 1 rep max should be? Of what 1 rep max? You're from 7 months ago that like you probably had more in the tank. Like, so I don't like percentages either for a lot of this stuff. But I do think it'd be interesting to not even put a weight on there and have it be more of like a by feel, and like you figure it out throughout the warm up. But in the back of my head, I would have the upper limit weight. Like, all right, we're not going to do Diane with 475 or something like 225, 155 is still what I have as the upper limit. But now it's like, is it totally okay for you to use 175, 195? Once we put the 225, 155 up there, people now know what the standard breakdowns under those are. I'm a 185 guy. I'm a 155 guy, or whatever, and then they don't like to go with those in betweens. Like I've asked people, I'm like, what's wrong with 180? And like, well, 185. It's like, it actually doesn't matter. What matters is how you're about to do this workout.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a cool thing to do. What sparked me to think about this a little bit was I told some people that they in CAP they actually have programs week to week that can help you get your first pull up or this extra accessory work. And I want to have people start to do some of those things, just because whether they wanted to or not, of using the open as a reset, like for the nutrition and stuff. Like I've coaxed them into doing that and thinking about it a little bit. Now I want to coax them into like organizing their accessory work. So like I'm using the open as a reset for them. I wish there was a way that I could go under Miguel's profile in Wodify, assign you a workout, and then you're able to check off that you did it and write notes. There's currently not really a way to do that. So if I email you the workout, crickets, like what's going on, and there's also maybe not a way for you to give me feedback on how it went. So I do wish that there was a way, like we had that handled in Barbell Club with, I give you the card, you write on the card, I take a photo of the card, I save it to an Excel spreadsheet. Boy, would it be a lot easier if we could all just do that in Wodify. Like I'll have the main workout on the board. You pull up your phone and you see what your numbers are, and you can put all your notes and stuff in there and submit it to me. And then even if, let's say, you forgot to do it, I can text you, hey, fill this out, and you still just do it on the phone and it goes to the same spot. That'd be super cool.
Yeah,
if we could do that. And it would, and then we'd be able to do it in CrossFit. The hard part with CrossFit is people going to different class times, people having different coaches in those and things like that. And everyone's just doing things based off what is written on the board versus your individual training. So, but we dream. You and Mike tied in the open workout. Back to the open workout. You tied on the muscle ups, but then he got you on that tie break. Interesting. How many? You got 7 muscle ups each?
5
muscle ups each. I guess that shows the tie break time is important. It is indeed important.
Yeah.
You got to note it and write it down. Do you think if you were going to retest, which I don't think you are, you could tweak your approach to beat Mike's tie break time? Or, I mean, of course, you're going to try to get more muscle ups on the back end. And if you beat his tie break time, more than likely you are, especially since you know the number to beat now. Maybe if you have more time, maybe you do purposely do singles or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But let's say you knew, you're like, boy, 5 muscle ups is the upper limit. I have to beat him on the tie break time. Is there a scenario where you could do that if you change your strategy and approach?
Well, it's interesting because it's like, technically, because he wins the tie break, almost like I'm the one who has to reframe. But I'm more like, okay, this is good. I know that I can do the same amount of muscle ups in a minute's less of time. Because I think his tiebreak was like 12:08 and mine was like 13:10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like in a minute, we were able to get the same amount because I know like where my skill is with the movement.
Yeah.
That I can even like, even if I'm beat up, even if I'm whatever, that I can kind of just go into it. And I just now I think it's just like we're different athletes, even though it's like we're similar athletes, we're different. And I think that Mike has a little bit more capacity than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think skill wise, I'm a little bit more skilled.
Do you guys kind of have split advantages and weaknesses on the lunging? Like I would say maybe your advantage on the lunge is kind of right now keeping it locked out, where that looked a little harder for Mike, especially on one side versus the other. But he kind of clearly has the advantage on the leg part of it, on his joints and everything, versus you're going down and the knee may not feel the most stable because you've had to do a lot of extra work to build up your single leg capacity.
Yeah.
So are you guys kind of even? And is it even, like, to have one versus the other, or is it better to have the shoulder issue than the lunge issue?
Right. I don't know about the movements themselves. Again, I think that I'm a fast mover per rep.
Mm-hmm.
I've always found that like if you just timed the time that it takes me to do it, let's say 3 reps versus somebody else doing 3 reps, my 3 reps might be faster in most things. But I told Mike even before he went, I said, you can take probably double the amount of rest that I do. So like, let's say if I rested 30 times during the workout, I told him like, you can probably rest 60 times and still have your rest be shorter altogether than mine. Like, I know that I'm a long rester, but I feel like that's something that I need. Whereas I think overall the like aerobic capacity that Mike has is better than mine. So he might have to break up. Like, I think the snatches he broke up more than I did and in smaller sets, but he knows that like he can do 4, reset a little bit, do like another 4 or 8 or whatever. Whereas I've played with this before where it's like, all right, maybe I'm taking too long of rest because I want to go 10 and 10, but I'll go 5, right? And then I'll still take the same amount of rest that I would have taken if I was going to do 10, just because of myself as an athlete.
Yeah.
Like, I just know myself as an athlete, and I think the way that I got to the 5 total muscle ups is the perfect way for me to have gotten to them.
Okay.
Like, I think if I was a minute faster on that first part, that I don't even know if I get 5 muscle.
Yeah.
Myself down to a point that, it would have been diminishing returns.
So it may not even be worth it to try to beat the split time. Because if you did, now that might severely impact the muscle ups. Now, it was interesting because normally we don't have this many people doing full-on muscle ups in a class. Like, and typically it might just be one, either you or Mike in class, and you might be the only ones actually doing it. We did have a drop in, and he went in the same heat as you, and he was also doing muscle ups, and he was doing muscle ups around the same time. Does that help at all to have someone else like up there on the rings doing the same movement versus kind of being solo in the class and you're the only one experiencing this thing right now? Like, maybe you see him hit a muscle up and that you see success and that prompts you to do a muscle up, or you see, all right, he's off, I'm going to go on. That's my cue. I can pace off him a little bit. Did that help you at all?
Yeah, I think it's almost like the like big fish, little pond scenario. If you think about it that way, where it's like, it's easy to, if you're the only person in class doing muscle ups, it's easy to do 1 or 2 muscle ups and go like, well, I've done it. Everyone's going to think that this is impressive because I'm already doing something that they can't do. Versus when you have like a direct comparison there, and you know that you have to actually, or like if it's something that you care about, but I feel like subconsciously everyone kind of does, of like, there is a direct comparison here. It's no longer cool enough that I can do muscle ups. Like, still there's like a smaller amount of people who can, so it is going to be like cool, but you're like, that's not enough. Like, I also have to really put effort into these now. I'm not the only person up here doing them. And then there's the added benefit of like, it feels nice to not be the only one something, because then you do have a clearer view of like, this where be in terms of like, all right, this is another person who's doing muscle ups. How long in between sets? As a person who can also do muscle ups, is that how long I should be taking in between sets? Versus like, all right, that person failing, I don't know if I can pace myself off of them, because sometimes it's not great to always be looking at the clock. Like, sometimes you need to see what people are doing as well. So yeah, it's on both levels, where be good like motivation, but also like you might put your hole if you're not at that level as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday when both of you were going, and I'm like, this is kind of a rarity now, and I wonder how it's affecting things. And then also when Mike goes, this won't be a thing, There won't be someone else up on the rings, or at least some people are going to try, but like they're going for trying to get their first one versus Mike is trying to get as deep as possible.
Yeah.
Well, 26.2. I liked it. So far, I like both these workouts. I think we've had a nice variety of things versus time domains, finish, don't finish, where we did unilateral traveling lunges. We did overhead work. We've done all the gymnastics or a portion of gymnastics. We've done wall balls. We got dumbbells checked off. I do know you said you want it to be a dumbbell free, open, but at least we're getting a variety in. It's looking like we did box, wall ball, dumbbell, pull-up bar. Now for the third workout, it's probably going to be, we're assuming, barbells coming back in. And they don't have to do anything, but I think if you want to round it out, the barbell is going to be a nice way. I don't know if snatches are on the table. Since we just did snatches with a dumbbell, I do think overhead squats could be on the table. Deadlifts for sure. I'm kind of feeling like a complex. What do you think? So, what would you like to see in this final workout?
Well, I'm taking a few things into account. And it's this is a grain of salt as well, because they might just do whatever anyway. But because it's getting announced with Wodapalooza, people are kind of going off of what's already been announced as a Wodapalooza workout and saying this can't be. So I think Wodapalooza has a heavy complex.
Yeah.
And if they're doing the open workout as a part of it, I don't think that they could do another heavy complex for the open workout.
What is the heavy complex? Do you know?
I can't fully remember. I think it's a few cleans and a jerk.
Okay. So they've so maybe have claimed the clean and jerk stuff.
Right.
Okay.
But if they did 2 scores in one weekend of a heavy clean and jerk complex and a heavy snatch complex would be, or another just heavy complex with a barbell would be kind of odd. I think they also,
it's still, if things repeat, that's still constantly varied. Of course you're not going to do it every day, but if you do burpees on a Monday and burpees on a Tuesday, people will freak out. But that's still CrossFit. It's still the thing, So they could, or they could add pieces to it. You could do maybe deadlift in the clean, in the front squat, into overhead. Just have it kind of, even though it's similar movements, have it be so wildly different.
Right.
But you're saying, no, Wodapalooza is doing a heavy complex. They could have theirs be a light complex for more conditioning instead of building up.
Yeah,
I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted on the build-up part of it. I would rather just see it be one weight, but this is only coming to someone who is setting up the room and helping to organize it. Josh would be coaching it, but the logistics part, it would just be, oh, what a nice open, one dumbbell, one wall ball, one box, one weight on the bar. Versus when the room is messy and there's shit everywhere, and they still want us to do shuttle runs and handstand walks and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I'm thinking again, because I feel like they do one progressive type thing. And I feel like that was this week of going from chin over the bar to chest to bar to muscle up. I feel like they won't increase the weight this next week, whatever it is.
Good.
But there are other things where people are we're already using a rower at Wodapalooza. But I'm a rower is something easily that they could use again if they wanted to. Double unders they could put double unders in every workout, and I don't think anybody would complain at Wodapalooza at least. But
crossover.
I think we're going to get the rope next week, and then, I don't know, maybe a toes to bar something.
I do think the rope is, All right. I don't know if the rope has been announced for any Wadapalooza workouts. But I do think the rope, it's going to happen. I think it needs to happen. All right. Maybe it doesn't need to happen. I want it to happen.
I hope
I
it
think,
does. I need another like separator thing.
yeah, I need to set separate. It's just, I think that every year the rope needs to be there to be like, hey, because that is the constant reminder. Yet another year has gone by that you did not work on your double unders. Sit and live with it, for whatever it's going to be. Or do the for the RX athlete that can't get any. Go down to the shame of the scale, because that's the one thing you can't do. And we're starting off with 100 double unders or something like that.
I would love for them to start off with 300.
Just a giant.
And then do like a bunch of other stuff where you can get reps easily, but like nobody gets past 300 except for like the people who have double unders. That would be the perfect workout for me.
Boy, that is a 100% move that they would do. Like, all right, it's a 10-minute AMRAP with a 300 double under buy-in. You only get to the treats once you finish your vegetables. Kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Which for those games athletes and people who have double unders, 300 is not what is that? That's you get 100 done. You did. I would expect maybe someone who's not the most craziest at double unders or proficient. If you can still get them done in the first 5 minutes, and then you have some time to touch the toes to bar and the barbell after, cool. For the elites, they're 3 minutes or so for 300 double unders, probably faster. But like, let's say if you did 100 a minute, that's not outside the world of, unless then they may be thinking, wait a minute, what's that going to do to the second part of my workout? Like, maybe they may think something like that. Or it might just be, hey, you didn't work on your double unders at all last year, then I guess you're going to spend 10 minutes getting as many as you can, right? I like that. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
If they were going to do shuttle runs, I was thinking about shuttle runs a lot recently. I think the way that shuttle runs have been being programmed are a little dumb, in that it's always 25 feet down, 25 feet back, or if it's allowed 50 feet down, 50 feet back. I'd like to see a shuttle run where it's like 8, 12, 16. So we can still have that 16-foot course, but you mark it off and you have to go down to the 8 back, down to the 12 back, down to the 16 back. And that all counts as one rep or something. I think people would sprint more with that. I think it would punish people who are going to walk that course more than people who run through it, especially if you have to do it multiple times. I don't know. What do you think about this? I would like to see like a shuttle run that way with different distances.
You're putting too much on the judges.
Really? You think so?
I think it sounds very simple. I think you're putting too much on the judges, though.
These judges got to get their act together then. All right, that's a whole another thing. I'm like, why are we even bothering with it? If not a no rep was called. What are we doing? Like, because they should just rename them as counters. You're a counter now.
Yeah. Because if you do the different distances, it's like if somebody misses that 10 or that 12 or whatever, that middle one, they end up. But like if a judge doesn't catch it, because you're just hitting multiple different lines. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I feel like there's enough there that they would avoid it.
I say that because we have you remember the competitions that we've done that on, and it worked out pretty well. I believe we did 4, 8, 12, maybe 16, and it was paired with stuff on the wall like pull-ups and wall balls, and you had to go through that a bunch of times to get to the meaty portion, and they were small rounds. Like it was gonna be like 3-minute AMRAP multiple times or 2-minute AMRAP. So you had to push through the shuttle runs to get to the next part. So we've done it before, and the judging worked. But I don't know about worldwide. That was just in our gym,
Right.
I think if you're gonna do shuttle runs, maybe 3 distances is too much. Maybe it's a 2. Like, what do you think about a 2? Like an 8 and a 16. So you got to go down to the 8, out to the 16, down to the 8, down to the 16. You got to do that 3 times. Then you're on to the next thing. Then another 3. You can't walk that at that point. You can't walk it. You have to sprint it.
That's going to be too hard.
For the judges or the people?
For the judges.
Oh, but everything's too hard for the judges. They're not
and that's
counting.
why they choose what they choose.
I know, but they're already not counting depth, not counting wall balls not hitting. It's like it's all already too hard. Like if the limiter is it's too hard for the judges, it's already too hard for them. Even people that have the advanced judging course aren't making the calls they need to be making.
Because I mean, like, you also have to think, like, people are delusional. If you went the first heat, like, the workouts start after because I've gone first both times now. The workout has started both times on the second heat, and Can like, okay, focus. They've already done a couple reps, and I don't know where they're at. Hopefully, they stop at like 10 or something, so that I can start counting again. Again, I wish it was something that could get done, but I don't know. I think that'll be a little bit too nuanced and new. I think it's too new, and people would be like, "How do I judge this? What if their foot goes over but their hand doesn't? What if this and that?" I think it'll be too new for people.
Do it in quarterfinals, and then you can set up bigger courses if you wanted to. You could do whatever. Actually, that might be too big for most gyms, like the yard, because like on a football field, you do 5, 10, 15 yards.
Yeah.
But that might be too many. How many feet is 15 yards? It's 45 feet. Is it 3? Is it 3 or is that meters?
3 yards per 3 feet per yard. Yeah.
So that's 45 feet. That's a sprint. If you had to go that 5, 10, 15, but that might not work.
The issue is that they typically do like, oh, your equipment has to be this many feet away from. And I think that's the reason why like people in Europe have to like travel to specialty gyms, because they're like, yeah, I have a rope. I have I can do rope climbs up to this amount, but it's right next to this thing. And we don't have enough space to make it 10 feet apart while also doing, I can't do my ropes directly under where I'm doing my shuttle runs, so I'd have to go do it. I don't know, but yeah.
Maybe they may have done it at the games before, that 5, 10, 15. If not, I think that would be cool. Like let's do it there first, and see that go down. But I agree. Jump rope, some kind of a barbell complex, or maybe it's like a heavy deadlift after X amount of things. I would like to see the 2K row. And it's funny, listening to like the CrossFit podcast or the one with where they get with the programming, where they kind of go through the workouts and stuff. I've heard multiple people now say a 2K row, and it was said here on the Barbell Strikes Back first. And we put that out into the ethos, And so it's always funny to me, like when we talk about things, and then I feel like then like I'll hear other people talk about. You ever have that, like, it's not like an epiphany or like maybe like a deja vu thing. Like I'll hear people talk about things. I'm like, we just talked about that. Like we just like weeks before, like, do we have a thumb on the pulse, or a finger on the pulse of what's happening? Or do you think it could be a possibility if all the buzz on a 2K row that it could happen?
Yeah, I think it's like it's subconscious things where it's like we don't even realize what we're picking up that's leading us down this way, but multiple people are seeing it. That's why that always comes up. It's like when you start like humming a song and you're like walking by someone and they're also humming it, and you're like, wait, did they hear me hum it? And they're probably thinking the same thing, but there was like a sign all the way over there that like had like a reminder of the lyrics or something that caused that, or like
to happen. There's some kind of subliminal CrossFit message or like I can't remember the specifics of it, but like they figured out that like in like mice and rats on this continent, the way they adapt in their genes and all stuff, or some kind of like through the universe, like the same thing happens over here because of the stresses over here. These rats adapt, or there's some kind of a thing where like somehow like a signal goes out and they all know. And it's like this really weird thing. I'm like, how do all these animals know and do the same thing? So yeah, like that makes me wonder, like, is it something that I mean, one, I always like to default and lean towards classic CrossFit, you know, versus like things that are like progressing. And like, it seemed like I don't like how it's like all like when I think of like modern day CrossFit competitor style programming, for whatever reason, I'm like biased to think like bike, box, dumbbell snatch. Like that's like everything, you know, like, especially with the bike just being used like so much. So I like to go back towards like, what were we doing back in the day? And that's why I was like, fight gone bad style workout, 2K row. Let's just do the classics, because like they're still so crazy effective. And at one point, the 2K row was a workout to fear. Like, oh my God, like I'm going to throw up today, or it's going to hurt so bad if you did it the right way. And I feel like it doesn't have that rep anymore. Like a 500-meter row too. We used to do 500-meter row retest all the time, and now it's a scary workout, you know. And that was one workout, and just once, not repeats. Because when you do the repeats, you lay off a little bit. You know, it was just like, hey, we're going to do some back squats, and then we're going to warm up the row, and we're going to do this 500-meter row. This 90 seconds to 2 minutes is going to be the hardest part of your entire week if you do this correctly. And people would be just crawling on the floor and puking, and they just did it in a minute 45 or a minute 39 or whatever, and they were afraid of it. They would have the same tinglies as like Fran, maybe not to that level, but like, and I feel like those things, people don't think that way anymore. If you saw a 500-meter row as the main workout of the day, you'd probably think that's all we're doing. We're not doing a whole lot, versus like what that workout should be and what you should put into that workout. So I want to see those things kind of return a little more, versus like, all right, just keep a steady pace, you know, just like, you know, do like all that stuff, which you need to do both. You need to do both. So all right. Any closing thoughts on 26.2?
No, it was a good one. It was a fun one to observe. Yeah.
How do you think class went? Like, as a participant, I
was surprised by, like I said, I feel like we warmed up too much. I was exhausted, but I was surprised by how much we were able to do.
Yeah. I changed. Of course, I didn't do the cap warm up. I did my own warm up, and I knew I was going to do the let's split the room right off the bat and use the lines, just because like whenever you have a course like that, it's like, why wouldn't I use this course now, you know? And just why wouldn't I also train you and teach you to traverse it, you know, multiple ways? And also, oh, there's a body in front of me, move out of the way, you know, like that's what we're learning when we're doing those knee hugs. Me and Bill are going to be on a collision course. I guess I should go to the left or the right. Oh, there's a person on the left. I guess I should go to the right. It's just like, without me having to tell you the obvious, just letting you figure it out during the warm up, you know, and it won't be this extreme when we go, because of course only half of us are going to go, but there still could be a situation where I'm lined up with a foot that's swinging through the air. Maybe I should do something about it. You're just getting people to do that stuff. In the cap warm up, they didn't have a lot of pre-stretching like that. I don't know. Our gym is, we have enough masters. I feel like it was needed, you know, masters in different levels. Like they were the first three movements. They were like walking lunge, and then start kipping, and then start doing pull-ups and chest bar pull-ups. I was like, I feel like we need a little bit of a different build up for that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, agreed.
Especially with the pull-up stuff, you know, I there's plenty of opportunity for the dumbbell thing to like kind of do two pieces at a time. Let's do the snatch and let's do the pull-up bar stuff. And now you're both working at a time. And then at the end, I'll give you a break where one of you's just judging or watching, and then you switch off that way. The muscle up, I was torn on the muscle up. In hindsight, I could if I get rid of the muscle up and just put the snatches into the pull-up portion and just be like, hey, do muscle or power, I think we can finish in an hour. I do think the muscle up stuff progressed how long things took. Like we only finished about 12 minutes over the hour. So I do think that could have tightened it up a little bit, because it also would have been one less look at Miguel and Mike and less things to practice. I do think we could have gotten time back there. But at that point, I wasn't too concerned about fitting this one into the hour, because 38 minutes of the workout is going to be of the hour is going to be either the heats, the break, or the bathroom break before. That gives me 22 minutes to get through all this stuff. So I kind of have to ditch the muscle up. But I didn't want to. This is where I'm torn. I didn't want to ditch the muscle up because of the mindset of, and this was a mindset at one point, it's not official scaling option that CrossFit put out. And only 3 people on top of my head are going to get to them, Yeah. And there were other people that could have got to them, but they were going to get stopped by that dumbbell anyways, and maybe not. So at that point, I could just go through the warm up and everything and be like, hey, if you have a muscle up, hit a rep or two, because if you have them, you probably don't need that little primer of like when I walked into the room before the class, you had already hit a set of muscle ups, before any warm up. So it's like, what are we doing here? But we always got to be taking steps forward towards to get the thing. And it was open as a scaling option if anyone wanted to use it, but people opted just to like keep chipping away at pull-ups and stuff anyway. So probably could have got rid of it. The cap plan did have it. I just changed the approach to it. So I don't know. To run it back, do you think I should get rid of it?
No, I think you had the right idea, because I'm kind of in the same mindset of like everyone who's going to be doing muscle ups is preparing themselves.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So where it's like, if you know that you're the type of person that might get there, you know that you're either going to have it or you really won't. And you might not even, either you're, if you feel that you need to warm it up, you will have warmed it up already, or you're going, or like maybe before we like do our final breaks, you'll like hit 1 or 2 or hit whatever you need. Otherwise, you're probably a person who can kind of hit them cold anyway. But that's kind of like the mindset that also I'm trying to get away from, of like, it's just one person, so they would have figured it out. But
yeah, I mean, you still have to, just because it's the open, I don't want to lay down all of the coaching sword, and also if they did get to it, our masters athletes to have muscle ups need that low ring work, and also we had a masters athlete dropping in who told me, I called him the day before, and he said, no, I'm going to get to the muscle ups and I have them. I don't know what he needs for that, and he wasn't in there beforehand doing anything, so it's like, all right, I don't know what's going on with him. Hopefully this will benefit him. At the very least, it annoys him because he doesn't think, which he does need to do them, but he may think he doesn't need to do them. He's like, I'm being forced to. But at that point, what I think you should do is just cheat it. Do 2 reps. I'm telling everybody to do 4. I'm not counting for everybody. Like just cheat it a little bit. Just do what you can do. Like I do that all the time. I'll just do what I'm capable of doing, and then like, all right, that's too many reps for me. I'm going to scale the reps. Right. I think that's the move you got to do as an athlete. But as a coach, and maybe I would cut down the number a little bit. I chose 4 just because I didn't want people to buzz through them and then be on their partner's butt who's still doing the dumbbell stuff. I probably could have done 2 and 3, or 2 or 3. Do two low ring muscle ups, or do you do 2 ring transitions. If you're on the dumbbell, do 3 reps of each of those exercises. Whatever.
Yeah.
But overall, worked out. Cool. Well, let's see what happens next week. Wadapalooza. That'll be exciting. The open announcements have been really cool this year. We had an Air Force base. We were in a big affiliate, and then now we're going to be at a competition. They're doing a good job. I'm happy with CrossFit. Let's finish. Yeah. Let's finish strong now, all of us. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, Miguel, where can people find you?
Can it be Miguel on Instagram?
And Albany CrossFit Instagram page and Albany CrossFit Barbell Club Instagram page. Although my camera work was not that good. I'm just not taking videos and photos during the workouts. It's easier when Josh is going, but so many other things pop up that you're like I'm not even thinking about filming that. But
yeah,
we need to get a photographer at one of these points. Like with this year, we had the sports medicine team. Next year, maybe. Which actually there might still be opportunity if I could find one. That would be kind of fun to have a photographer come on the last week or something. Or we just need a camera. We used to have a camera, like a big SLR camera. Yeah. And at the end of the night, we just take the card, and every class throughout the day, coaches would snapshots, and then you take it. But we don't have that anymore. Cool. All right. Follow me, James Samuel Turner. Follow Albany CrossFit Barbell Club. Follow Miguel. It couldn't be Miguel. And good luck next week to everybody in the Open. And anyone who hasn't done this week so far, good luck. And remember to log your scores.